The expectation always is just compete hard, and if you do that, you never know what can happen. So I don't think we necessarily had a goal of we're going to make the Final Four, but we just had a goal to go out there and compete and let other people know what Ferris State tennis is about, that we're going to show up, and whoever's going to beat us, they're going to have to take it from us. And that was really our mentality the whole week. I mean, we hadn't been to the Sweet 16 in over a decade, so you can't really have goals that are too high when you haven't been there in a long time. But the big thing is just thanks to Bulldog Nation, and it was kind of cool. I didn't know when we went out there that there's over 1,400 alumni from Ferris State in the Denver area. So that was creating a lot of buzz, and then people back here and around the country just sending texts and emails and phone calls, and it's just really cool for our guys to see that type of support. And we always talk about the tradition of Ferris State tennis. I think that's important that our players know that. But when you haven't seen it, being a young person, and the teams hasn't really done that well, and since maybe the 90s, early 2000s, they don't really understand it. But I think now they have a really good grasp of how good our program's been in the past, and now they feel like they brought Bulldog tennis back. So that's just a really proud moment as a coach, and I'm really proud of our guys, how they've competed and handled that. Yeah, it was a great start just to getting out to Denver and then being there for the opening ceremony. The weather wasn't great, so we didn't really know how they would adjust, but we got a chance to go over to Mile High Stadium and Sports Authority Field where the Denver Broncos play. They had just come off the Super Bowl, so just seeing those things out there was really cool, but just really seeing all the different student athletes from so many different sports out there was amazing. So it had a little extra feel to it that you don't normally have at an NCAA championship when it's just men's and women's tennis. But that got everything out to a great start, just having dinner and meeting different student athletes and coaches, and really great first start with fireworks and everything like that. It was awesome. It's really different playing out in Denver with the altitude. The ball definitely flies a little bit different than it does here in the Midwest. So with the rain, we had to go indoor right away, which obviously we're used to playing in, but we were lucky to find some courts the first day there in Denver, and then lucky enough that Bulldog great Martin Kraybeck was able to take us at his place at Fort Collins and get us some courts and get some practice in. So that was really great to be around him. And then Tammy Greener, a former player of the year on the women's side. It was cool to see some Bulldog tennis players out there supporting us, and that really got the guys geeked up right away. It was kind of unlikely. I thought for Concordia, their number 4 guy, I think, has only lost 2 matches the whole spring, so he was kind of their go-to guy. But Stu Sell played great tennis and was able to get a win for us there. And then that kind of set up the dramatics everywhere else. Vasil Serduke at number 1 lost a really close match. I think it was 6-4 in the third there, and then we needed some other matches, especially after Daniil Tarantinov lost a tiebreaker in the third set, so that was really close. But thankfully, Till Von Winning was able to pull out a really close match at number 2, and he played a former Northwood player that I had seen. He played a freshman and sophomore year at Northwood, so I knew his game a little bit. And Till's won so many big matches for us all year that he really stepped up, and I think he just knows how to live in that moment and pull out those matches. So he won 11-9 in a third set tiebreaker. So that was huge. And then that set up Simon Levy at number 6. And they were just playing such long points to try to get that match. But he was able to get up 4-2 in the third set when Till had finished. And then everyone kind of came over and everyone was getting rowdy. All the other teams were waiting to play, so we had a big crowd. And Simon just really stepped up. I mean, both players were playing very tight tennis because they knew it was on the line, but he was able to cruise to a 6-2 win there in the third, and just an awesome experience to see us pull that out. So we saw that we're going to play Midwestern State, and I was just hoping that we'd be fine in our legs. I mean, we played a 5-hour match with Concordia, got off the court late, and but our guys just really stepped up, and I mean, they were looking forward to playing Midwestern, and same thing, we needed to get out to a good start in doubles. We knew Midwestern State was excellent in doubles. That was the strength of their team. So for us to come out 2-1 after doubles, that was just a mental boost for us. We got wins at number 1 and number 3, and Connor Hunt stepped in and played number 3 doubles. He hasn't really played a lot for us all year, and he came in and played outstanding tennis. It was just great to see, and I was glad that he was ready to go. And then in singles, we really just started to roll. We got first sets on 5 out of the 6 courts, and then we lost at number 1. But Stu Sell was battling there. Nuruddin got to clinch the match for us after Till and Daniil were able to get a couple wins there. And Adim's match was tight. I mean, he made a tiebreaker. He was up 3-0 in the second set, and then it got to a tiebreaker, and he's been so clutch in tiebreakers all year that I told him, I said, I'm going to go over to your court. I know you're going to win this one, and he did. It was really cool. Yeah, I didn't know he was going to come to me first. I thought he'd go to the guys, but he and I have had such a great relationship all year, and anyone who's come to a Bulldog match this year, they know how charismatic Adim can be on the court, and he just... for a freshman, he really handles pressure and thrives off crowds and things like that, which you don't see from a lot of first-year players, especially a guy that comes in January. So it was just cool to share that moment with him and with the team, and then just looking forward to the next match to make the Final Four. That was great. It was really surreal just to get to that point. I mean, we knew we had the draw to be able to get to that point, but we also knew that if we were going to make it, we were going to have to face and beat 2 really good teams. So we were able to do that, and the guys, I think they were just playing off confidence at that point. I mean, I think at that point they thought that they belonged, and when we went into the match against Hawaii Pacific, who ultimately won the whole thing, and our guys weren't scared, they weren't intimidated, we just came out and played, and unfortunately we lost 3 first sets and tiebreakers, but I think that was a lot stronger than even some of the best teams in the country have done against Hawaii Pacific. So we played them really tough, but hats off to them. They're the national champion, and they really stepped up and took points when they needed to.